Hi all, and welcome to a video tutorial on how to download Australian demographic data from the ABS to ArcGIS Pro, where we can then share it back up into ArcGIS Online as a feature layer and display it in dynamic styles like choropleths or dot density maps, for instance. And what you can see here is an example of that. So what we have on the screen is SA1 data from the ABS that's showing household and population characteristics in Queensland. Now in this particular case, got a choropleth that's showing population 0 to 14 years. But as you can see in this data set, we have quite a rich amount of data available to us. Things like average household size, females by lone persons in dwellings, female population, lone persons, male lone persons, male population, and really good things like median family weekly income and so forth. So you can see that the data that's available to us is quite rich and diverse, and from there you can go about getting some really great choropleths for your students to unpack. Now this is SA1 data. We're going to be looking at doing this process for SA2 data so that we have two map extents or two scales that our students can work from. So where do I find this ABS data? I head over to Google and I type in ABS geopackages. You'll find it's the first two. I'm going to click on the second option because that's the home page that it will take us to. And in case you wanted to, here's a direct link for this page, for this web page, and you can copy that into your browser. But from here, we want to access the geopackages, so we'll click on Open Geopackages, and we can see that there's a couple of filters that allow us to, I guess, choose what kind of statistics that we're actually after. So because the data is so huge, I like to work within states. Otherwise, when you go to upload it back onto ArcGIS Online, it can really take a long time to buffer and download. So my first step would be, or first piece of advice would be to make it a bit smaller to your state of focus where those SA2s and 1s can be found in. Step 2, you need to choose the geo package that you're after. So in this case, we're going to be working from selected dwelling and household characteristics. And then step 3 is we need to choose a geo package to work from. So you can see that geopackage A contains the following tables or the following data. So you can actually have a bit of a browse through. Geopackage B contains some slightly different stuff, and it's got those codes to help you out as well. So if I was to swap this, for instance, to employment, income and unpaid work, I can see a geopackage A contains these, and we've got actually quite a large range of geopackages for this particular topic. So it's just a matter of going through and deciding what you want to work with. But we'll go with geopackage A for selected dwelling, household characteristics, and then it's just a matter of downloading that geopackage. And that will take some time depending on how many megabytes are required. So once your data has finished downloading, it'll be saved as a zipped file or zipped folder in your downloads folder on your computer. And the first thing that you need to do is right click on it and extract all so that it unzips it, and it will essentially create a copy of it, but just like a normal folder that you can click into that's no longer zipped. And what I like to do is I like to rename it. So I've renamed it Selected Dwelling and Household Characteristics Australia, Geopackage A 2016, because it's from the census data from 2016, Queensland. And I like to copy and paste that on my desktop so that I can find it easily when I'm in ArcGIS Pro and I want to bring that data in. But that's your preference. I just like to find it there, and then I can delete these folders once I'm done with them. So I'll get out of that for a moment, and I'll find ArcGIS Pro, open it up, and you might decide that you want to create a new project and rename it something like Queensland Demographic Data, or something along those lines, so that you know exactly what that project's about. I've already got one called Australian Demographic Data, so I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And you can see that in this particular project, I already have my SA1 layer that I was showing you in ArcGIS Online before. However, this time I want to essentially bring in the SA2 data this time. So I'm going to turn that off for now. And on the right hand side, I've got my catalog pane, and you can see that number of tabs down the bottom, and the catalog pane is the one selected. If you don't have that, you can head over to view up the top, and you can pull that catalog pane so that it becomes apparent on the side. But I'm going to head back to map for now. And in the catalog pane, I'm going to click on the drop down arrow for databases. If you've created a project, you'll also have a database that's named that project. I've created a second database, but it doesn't matter. All you need to do is right click on your current database or your database that you've chosen, and you need to hit import and click feature classes. And we need to find that folder that we've just saved to our desktop. So I'm going to browse, I'm going to head to desktop. Sorry, I've got to click it again, it just disappeared. Desktop, and you can see that I've got that folder there that I've renamed. I'm going to click on that, and we can see we've got the geopackage, GPKG. But I want to click on that again, and you can see this is where we've got our data set. So you can see main census data, SA1, SA2, 3, 4. I'm pretty sure there's local government areas as well in there. But I'm working with the SA2 data, so I want to click on that one. I'm going to hit OK. And I need to provide an output name for it, so I'm going to stick with the same kind of formatting I have for this name, SDHCA underscore geopackage A, that's what that is for, SA2 Queensland. You might decide that you want it to be a lot more friendly to read and named accordingly. And then you're just going to hit run. And because the data set is a little bit large, it can take a while to bring in. In this case, it looks like it's going quite fast for us. And you can see that that data has been brought in, and that it was a success. I can go ahead and close that window now. And what we've got here is our SA2 outlines. And if I click on it, you can see that there's quite a deep and rich data set in there. But you can also see that the names, the field names are a little bit hard to read in some cases. The first couple of fields are quite easily understood, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's a little bit hard to read. We can understand what that is in the data set we downloaded. So if I head back to the downloads folder and I open this folder, I've actually got this metadata set, and it's one of these two. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll open both spreadsheets. It is the bottom one, sorry. But I'll open this spreadsheet and I'll bring it across, and we can actually see it's got, the ABS have put together essentially a list of codes for us. So when we get to those funny codes that are a bit difficult to decipher, for instance viz diff, we can actually open this and understand exactly what data is being shown when we read that code. And we can go a step further and we can actually change these in ArcGIS Pro so that they're a lot more friendly to read. So I'm going to close that for now, but it might be a good idea to have that open on the side if you do need to access it. Because the thing is, if I open my attribute table, you can see that we have lots of different types of data populated for a lot of different columns. Now I don't actually need all those columns, and if I try and bring all of those columns in, all of the data into ArcGIS Online, it's going to take some time to download and whatnot. So I'm actually going to go ahead and delete ones that I'm not interested in. So I'm going to right click on my feature layer, go down to design and choose fields. And this brings up all of the fields in the data set. You can see that I've got lots of these MCU 15s. It might be that I need to open that Excel spreadsheet and go through them slowly and work out exactly what I want. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename some of these so they're a bit more friendly. So field name is something that we can't necessarily change, but alias is what our viewers or our students will see. So if I want to make this a little bit more friendly to the eye, I can actually rename this median image. And that's what my viewers will see when they see it pop up. This one, for instance, I might go median monthly mortgage repayments. And it's just about renaming it so it's friendly to the eye. So I guess the first step is identifying the fields that you want to keep as a part of your data set and renaming some of them, and then deleting fields that you don't. Depends what order you want to do them in. I like to delete first and then rename. So for instance, if I want to delete a bunch, I click on the first field I want to delete, and then I click on shift, and let's say I don't want anything up until here. I just click. So again, if I do that again, I click on the first one I don't want, and I identify, okay, I don't want any of these between here and there. I click again, holding shift, and that highlights them all, and then I can just click delete. And you've got to go through it, because again, it's quite a lengthy, it's a huge data set, so you really got to go through and reduce this. But you got to again identify what you want to keep and then delete what you don't. And as you go through that process, you hit save, and it will begin to apply those changes. So it'll apply the 2 name changes I've made, and it will also delete the fields that I didn't want. So you got to go through that process until you're happy with the data set that you have. I will say one thing is that if I delete lots of fields at once, for instance, I'm going to delete down to here, and then I hit save to actually begin that process. It can actually take quite a long time to apply the changes, because ArcGIS Pro is essentially having to rewrite this data set one line at a time, but without the fields you just deleted. So it's quite quick there, but if I was to delete, I don't know, 100 fields at once, it might take a bit longer. So you're going to begin that process. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'll show you the other product on the other side. Now I've just fast forwarded a little bit, and I've actually gone through and deleted the fields that I haven't wanted and renamed the fields that I wanted to keep. And just as a bit of a context, that took me about 30 minutes, and that was with me knowing what fields I was after, because I'd already done it at the SA1 level. And now I'm working at the SA2 level. So I'm really just creating the same data set again that I did yesterday for my SA1s, but at an SA2 level. And you can see that I've renamed them all, and they're a lot more friendly to read. For instance, we're looking at MTOT 15 to 24. Well, that translates to male population 15 to 24 years, and that's what my users or my students will see when they open that data up in ArcGIS Online, which is really, it's painstaking process and it's slow, but it's really worthwhile for this ease of read and this user-friendly experience that we're creating. Now, a couple of fields that I want to make sure that you keep. It's really important that you keep the SA2 main code 2016 fields, as well as the shape field. And if we go down the bottom, the shape length and the shape area field, because those fields in particular are going to help ArcGIS Online know where they are on the map, because they do contain things like latitude and longitudinal data, or locational data, so that it helps ArcGIS Online put it on a map. Now if I return here, you can see that my save is grayed out, which means that these changes that I've made are finalized, and they've been saved. So I can cross out of that up here on the Fields tabs to return to my map view. And now that my SA2 data is ready to go, I've renamed it all, I've deleted the fields I haven't wanted. It's about clicking on it and then right-clicking. We go to sharing. We want to share it as a web layer, so essentially it's going to upload it to our ArcGIS Online account. We're going to click web layer, and you'll see it opens up another little pane on the right hand side again, the sharing pane. And I'm going to leave the name as it is because I can change this all in ArcGIS Online, and I'll just do it all at once at the very end. So because that I can do that, I'm also just going to put in test tags and test summary, but I do want to make sure I do that properly on the back end. I'm going to leave it as a feature layer type. I'm going to choose the folder that it's going to be saved in my ArcGIS account. For now, it's just going to go into my root folder. And I don't want to share it with everyone just yet, although I will later on. I'm going to analyze it first, see if there's any issues with my data set. And this one we don't really need to worry about, it always pops up. So we're going to ignore that. Our data is good to go, and we're going to publish it to the web or publish it to our ArcGIS Online account. And again, because this data set is quite large, you can see that it's going to take some time down the bottom. So I'll return to you again once that has been complete. Now after about 2 minutes, we can see that in the little green box down the bottom in ArcGIS Pro, it's successfully published as a web layer. So if we head over to my ArcGIS Online account now, where am I? There we are. We can see that in my content window on ArcGIS Online, I have my new data set at the SA2 level. You can see my SA1 level there and how I've renamed it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the feature layer itself, and we'll open the items overview page. And a really important thing, and something that you're probably teaching your students when it comes to data management, is that it's really important to add things like descriptions and clear titles and whatnot to our data set. So I've already got that all sorted for my SA1s, and I'll do that off screen, but you can see how I've renamed it appropriately: Household and Population Characteristics in Queensland by SA1 2016. I've got a little bit of a brief description here. Then I've got an in-depth description as to what my data includes. And you can see my layer fields include things like population by age and sex brackets and so forth. I've also linked to the ABS data packs page for more information, and I've also used or included some terms of use details so that we are able to use and share the ABS statistics. But I think it's important to mention, hey, we're doing this under the Creative Commons licensing, which is also on the ABS page too. And I've also added some tags to help people when they're searching in ArcGIS Online. You know, if they're typing this kind of stuff, it's going to help this feature layer pop up in their search results as well. And you can see that as I add this information, the item information bar or quality goes from low to high. So at the moment this is nice and high, but if I return to my SA2 data that I just put up, we can see that it's kind of sitting in the middle. And that's because I need to add this detail around the side, which I'll do off screen, but I just wanted to show you an example of that once it has been completed. Let's pretend I've done that. We're at the stage now where we can actually add this to a new map, for instance, and begin playing with it. So I can add it in the classic view or the classic map viewer, and it'll appear there. And likewise, I could go and rename it and whatnot, but I could also change style. So I could choose the field that I want displayed, average number of persons per bedroom, for instance. And I'm going to stick with counts and amounts color, and you can see that that choropleth has begun to take shape. Likewise, I will mention actually in here, you can classify your data, so we can have more classes if we wanted to, and we can also change things like the color scheme. And I like to put an outline, nice strong outline. Let's go to 1 on my boundary layers, just so I can see those SA2s clearly. I can hit OK and done, and I've locked it in. I can see that data on a map. Likewise, if I go into the new map viewer, so I'll go without saving for now. If I load this into the new map viewer, this is the way of, I guess, the future of ArcGIS Online. Not all the tools are here yet, but it's looking really cool and really good. So I've got my layer selected, as you can see with the blue line around it. If I go to styles on the side, I'm going to choose a field to show. So this time let's maybe go with something like population 0 to 14 years. I'm going to hit add. It gives us a range of drawing styles down the side. It'll just take a moment to load what's available to us. So something like counts and amount size is not really good, but the choropleth again looks really nice. And we'll go into style options again. We can classify our data so we can make more classes and choose how our classes are broken up. Or if we don't want to do that at this stage, we can also go into symbol style, change the color ramps again, and I always like to again go to outline. Outline is on by default, but my recommendation is you change that to black just so you can see those boundaries nice and clearly. And then once you're happy with that, you simply close out of it and you've got yourself a choropleth map that you can look at the legend. You can also go and print as well. So that's that stage from start to finish. Now, if I wanted my students to be able to find this in ArcGIS Online, I can share this publicly. It might be that if you're doing some really good work and some high quality work, you might decide to share it with all schools, and that's a big help to other schools as well. But I'll open up the items page again, and I'm just going to click share and share with everyone. This means that when my students or other users go to look for the data, it's going to be available in ArcGIS Online. So I've just opened a new map, and in here you can see I've already entered it for us, but I've typed in Queensland demographic, and I've been quite busy over the last week doing SA2 and SA1 data layers for Queensland. But you can see that because of the tags I've put in back on the items page, when I type in Queensland demographic, sorry, you can see that I've got a number of really great feature layers and data sets to look at, and they all have a partner. So for instance, population by age and sex in Queensland by SA2 also has an SA1 partner there. So there's about 15 or 14 layers that I've done so far. I do plan on having more to come. It is a time-consuming process, so please be patient, and feel free to reach out at education@esriaustralia.com.au if you did have any other suggestions on data you might want to see, and I can work to put that up on ArcGIS Online for you. Thanks for sticking with me for quite a lengthy tutorial. Hopefully you can appreciate the difficulty and the time that it takes to go and get this data, clean it in ArcGIS Pro, and bring it up into ArcGIS Online. So thanks for sticking with me throughout the full 20 minutes or so. And feel free again to reach out if you had any questions or wanted some support around using this data set. Thank you.